Hey everybody, it's Dr. Ray. Uh, Thank you guys for dropping in. It is another Monday, so it is Money Monday. Today we're going to talk about how you can speed up the process of growing your investment portfolio, your investment nest egg, the thing that will sustain your lifestyle and ultimately deliver to you wealth when the proper principles are practiced. Before I get into this, first and foremost, I want to thank everybody who has sent their condolences, their love, their well wishes to me and my family as we deal with the loss of my mom. Um, again, uh, it cannot be expressed in words how much I appreciate the outpouring of love and support at this trying moment. So, once again, thank you. Also, before I begin, in the description box, there's an unbelievable offer that extends to tomorrow. I've been talking about it, and it'll make sense after today when we finish talking about this, but you need to take advantage of it. The 7-day online business launch course is a way that I have built multiple streams of income online over the last almost 14 years. And this course showed you how to do it, but also over the next, 36 hours or so until tomorrow at midnight, you not only get that course, you get the Path to Generational Wealth course, which is our flagship course. It's worth $2,695. You get it free. It's 18-month course. It is comprehensive. All the things I'm going to talk about today is in this course. You get the Mind Unleashed course, which is the proper development of thought processes and state of mind and approach to life so that you can function and develop and accumulate and build and become successful. That's a $607 course. You're going to get that free. You're going to get the Path to, Unleashing the Power of Artificial Intelligence course. That's a $697 course. You're going to get that, and you're going to get the did I say Mind Unleashed already? There's another one in there. Just look in the box. A lot on my mind right now, but all of these additional courses are going to be free as a part of this promotion. And why? Because I want you to be able to create multiple streams of income. I cannot stress that enough. One of the things that I want to get everyone um, adjusted to doing is seeing opportunities and seizing them because opportunities have shelf lives. They aren't eternal. They don't always come back around, and we miss so many opportunities because of fear, because of uncertainty, because of what other people are going to say, because we're not used to it, because we don't. So many different reasons, and whatever the reason, it costs. And so you have to learn how to calculate the cost of missed opportunities. You have to learn how to calculate the cost of not taking advantages of moments when they present themselves. And I want us to get adjusted to that. It's so important to see something and grab a hold to it. There's no such thing as perfect timing. There's no such thing as perfect opportunities. It's about seizing a moment, making the adjustments along the way, and making it work. But I want us to get into that. So, in the Path to Generational Wealth course, which is one of the courses that you can actually get for free if you sign up for the 7-day online business launch course. It's a $2,695 course. In it, there's a section that's dedicated to speeding up the process, because depending on when you start building wealth, you have this time frame of when you want to accomplish X, Y, and Z. Well, say for instance, if I start at 20, retiring at 40, I've got 20 years to do it. If I start at 35, I've got 5 years to do it. If I'm talking about retirement, which I'm never going to do, but I want to be at a point in my life where if I wanted to quit, I could quit. So I want to reach that point to where working isn't a necessity, it's a passion for me. And that's what drives me. I'm never going to stop working. As long as I have my right mind, I'm going to keep doing, I'm going to keep building, I'm going to keep sharing. I'm going to keep teaching. I'm going to keep doing the things that drive me as long as I'm alive. I have something to give the world that God gave me to give the world, and I'm going to do it with as much passion and push as I possibly can. But if you're talking about retirement age and you're already 45 or 50, how you approach that is definitely going to be different than someone who approaches it from the age of 20, 25. And there are some ways that you can speed things up. And there's a section in this course called Speed It Up. And it's these different things that you can practice that will help you speed up the process. One of the one of those sections is get better returns on your investment. And one of the things I'm going to focus on, well, the primary thing I'm going to focus on today in getting return for your investment is asymmetric risk reward. There's a guy by the name of Kyle Bass, an unbelievable investor who turned 30 million. I know this guy had 30 million, but he turned that 30 million into, I want to say 30 billion is, am I wrong? I want to make sure I'm looking at it right. Um, 30 million into 2 billion. So exponentially grew 30 million. But he used it, and he used a process called asymmetric risk reward. And if you've paid attention, if you followed, you've heard me talk about asymmetric risk reward. What is it? There's this common concept amongst the nuanced and uninformed people who talk investments that in order to make massive amounts of money, you have to invest massive amounts of money in retrospect. So in other words, to make 3 billion, I need to invest at least 3 billion. And he proved that wrong. He proved that what you want to do is find situations in which the reward is exponentially larger than the risk. And so it's almost like, I think his calculation is he was looking for, when he turned 30 million into 2 billion, he looked for things and investments and opportunities where there was a 3% risk for every opportunity to make a dollar. So 3 million to make 100 million type of thing. And it's called asymmetric risk reward. And what that means is you exponentially grow your investment because you are focusing on investment opportunities that have a massive upside in comparison to the downside. Now, when we're talking investments, there are rarely opportunities where there's no risk whatsoever. Investment means that you're putting yourself into a situation to gain something. In order to do that, there's always the possibility of loss. So the one thing that you have to learn to do is properly manage your risk. Be very calculated in the risk you take. Be very systematic in the risk you take. Don't allow your emotions to get involved in your investment strategy, in your allocation strategy. Be very, very systematic. Be very, very educated. One of the things that Mark Cuban said was that it's absolutely possible to do. Matter of fact, let me see if I can find exactly what he said, because I don't want to. That was Steve. Oh, here it is, right here in front of me. He says, if you're prepared and you know what it takes, it's not a risk. You have to go figure out how to get there. There's always a way to get there. And when he said there's no risk, he's not talking about that you won't lose. He's talking about that when you understand how things work, your investment strategy will put you in a situation where your diversity hedges against loss in times of loss. So in other words, if I have 10 assets that I've allocated my funds for investing in my into, and I've done my homework, and I know that they're low risk assets, and I've done it across. If I take 3 that take a loss, but 7 win, I win. I grow. My net worth grows despite having experienced 3 losses because I diversified my asset allocation. I invested across assets. I didn't stay in one industry, one company, one thing. One of the things that I've shared with you guys before is in the early 2000s, one thing that I did was I did international relocations. I was a person responsible for expatriating and repatriating executives for companies like Enron, and I'm going to tell you about that in a second, Nortel, EDS, uh, uh, Unical, Flora Daniels, Dresser Rand, and then I did some personal things for people who came along as well. But I was the person responsible for repatriating Enron executives when the company collapsed. And the one thing I saw was the devastation that took place from people who over weighted their investments in Enron stock because the company had what misrepresented profits and company growth and a bunch of other financials that said that it was much stronger than it really was. And when it collapsed, they lost everything because they had it all in what one basket. So the diversification of your investment portfolio is going to play a major role in the success of it in the long term. I'm a big guy. I am very big on playing the long thing. It's funny, Black Beauty, that you asked that question about the. You say 41K. I'm pretty sure you're meaning 401K. Actually, what I just mentioned about the Enron employees, how they lost most of their money was through a 401K plan. Properly managed, there are some benefits to a 401K plan, especially if you have an employer who is matching your contributions. That's probably one of the few reasons that I would advise someone to even get involved, because someone is literally doubling your contribution. So you're literally getting a 100% increase on your investment every time you allocate out of it. And so that matching of what you're investing in and of itself is good. The problem with 401ks is improper allocation of what's being contributed to the fund. You have to understand that a 401k isn't an account where money lies idle and grows interest. It is an account where money is being allocated for investment. So other people are making money off your investments as well. And you have to understand that. One of the biggest issues for 401ks is that is that the fees and the commissions. There is an estimated 17 billion plus annually that hit 401k plans in the US that are solely about fees and commissions, fees. And unless you are heavily and highly educated on how to read financials and read through rhetoric and understand everything, the 50 pages, which has been reduced by a law that was supposed to make it more understandable and more contributor friendly, because it used to be hundreds of pages that you would have to read to even know where these fees were coming from and know that you would get them. And the average person isn't reading their 401ks that way. The average person isn't really astute enough or attentive enough. And that's the thing. One of the things Shaq said, Shaquille O'Neal, but one of the things he said is, um, I forgot who was it that told him this. I think it was Kareem. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar told him to check his money daily. Now, what it did is it ultimately ended up in his divorce because he found out that his wife was funneling money out of account to a personal account. She was planning on leaving him, and she had good reason to. He admits it. So if the extreme wealthy are checking their money and on top of it, the one thing that I've noticed about the people I've dealt with who are extremely financially affluent is they can tell you almost to a cent, minus fluctuation, momentary fluctuation or recent fluctuation. They can tell you pretty much where everything is allocated and how much they have, and they're on top of it on a regular basis. And I think that that same level of attentiveness has to be used on our allocation. So the 401k needs to be managed like any other form of financial assets. It has to be looked at, viewed, kept up with, questions asked. And I think that we don't do a good job of that. And that's why it's so easily for the financial market to hit 401k so hard. $17 billion just in fees. That is an issue that makes it very, very very, very challenging. But yeah, if you're getting an employer that's matching, definitely worth it. Um, but also that means you need to be very aware of how that money is allocated. And most of them allow you to choose how the money is allocated. So you can go in and you can find where you want to put it. As much as they will allow you put money into interest bearing assets like passively managed mutual funds, index funds like the S&P 500. That's going to be a long game, and that's going to give you more growth over time and consistent with minimal risk over time. So even with the downturns in the market over time, this mechanism has just worked over and over and over again. I just told you I just did a 5-year experiment to show people what you can do. I took basically a $5 deposit and $4.66 a week for 5 years, totaling $245 total investment, and it grew to $1,400 and something dollars over 5 years. And I just wanted to prove what the long game looks like. And so that is how you have to sort of look at that thing. So again, that's your long game. But if you are in a situation where, say, somebody saying, man, I'm in my 50s, I don't have that kind of time. I don't have 20 years to grow it, and so I get that. Then there are ways to do that. Asymmetric risk reward is one way to do it. Definitely you want to become aware. And the most important thing that I've learned in my research to build the courses that I've built and to be able to talk to people about this is that we lose because we don't understand how things work. We tend to operate off of how things sound, how we feel about things, and we have very little knowledge. And that's in the area of finance, that's in the area of politics, that's in the area of education. And we tend to move based off of our feelings, and we tend to move off of how good it sounds versus the knowledge of how things work. And the more we invest in understanding how things work, the more we'll be able to use the mechanisms within any particular area or influence in life and actually make it work to our benefit. There are so many things out there in the financial world that does not give any attention whatsoever to race or gender, and yet we aren't optimizing it. The S&P 500 is a passively managed mutual fund, or what's often known as an index fund. Black Beauty is asking a question. It's a fund, and what happens is it provides compound growth. So in essence, you invest in it, and that grows interest annually, but the interest also gets to grow interest. So it compounds on itself as well as what you put into it. And over time, you're just simply compounding. It is the absolute reverse of what the average person does, which is compound debt. When you buy a house, that's compound debt, because you're going to take a house worth $300,000 at even a great interest rate like 4%. And you're going to buy it and you're going to pay it off in either 15 or 30 years. And if you pay it off in 30 years, you might end up for a $300,000 house paying close to $1 million for it. That's compound debt. Now imagine the flip side of that. You putting in money in something that's growing with an interest rate of on an average 8.2 to 10% average. And you're doing that over the course of 20 years. You'll be surprised at what you can produce and set yourself up for. Plus, as these things are growing, you can always, what I like to see is I like to see it grow upon itself, and I don't too much mess with what's going on inside what's invested in the S&P. But you can also take some of that growth and find other opportunities and finance other opportunities as it grows. But that's supposed to be your long game, and so that's why it's one of the things that I recommend. I don't do a whole lot of recommending to people. I do a whole lot of encouraging people to learn. The courses teach you how to learn. They show you some things. There's not a lot of suggestions about what to invest in outside of general things. You need to have compound growth. So an index fund is the way to do it. From Warren Buffett to Kyle Bass to T. Boone Pickens to David Swinson, Ray Dalio, all of these people that I reached out to gain knowledge from all say the same thing. You need that compound growth, and it's the most neglected element or mechanism within wealth building for people who are getting involved in it. It's overlooked. So that is what I have to share with you, and for as that's concerned. So asymmetric risk reward. It is simply finding opportunities. I remember when the real estate market was booming in early 2000s up until about 2006, 2007. The goal then, man, we're looking for what? We're looking for properties with built-in spreads. Why? Because that is a guaranteed equity win. How? Okay, if the list price is 500,000. And I predominantly dealt with jumbo properties, so everything 500,000 and up. So say it's 500,000, but the property appraises at 800. Then that means that you are literally accruing $300,000 in equity at time of purchase. When that deal closes, that's 300,000 in equity that can be maneuvered and managed in a number of different ways. And so again, that is a way of looking at how you're managing it. Now, that is not necessarily asymmetric risk reward in the sense that it's pretty much set up that you're looking at it. Hey, this is what it'll appraise for. The risk that you see in real estate isn't so much what you're seeing at the moment. It's what the market will do in the future. And I look at real estate the same way I look at the S&P. It's a long game. You buy. I'm not a flip person. You know, I buy and I flip. No, I'm a person. Buy it, hold it, and use it to your benefit. Because here's what you can do with real estate. And people say, well, how do I monetize, or how do I liquidate it? Liquidate the equity. Well, there are a number of different ways of liquidating the equity. There are ways of liquidating the equity at the time of closing. There are ways of liquidating the equity after closing, but there's also ways of leveraging the equity where you don't have to liquidate it, but you can still get guaranteed acquisition on other situations. So it's so many different ways to play that game. But the long game is to hold, because real estate is probably the oldest and still the most consistent ways to develop and build wealth. I'll give you a biblical example. When the tribes of Israel moved into Canaan, the land was distributed amongst the tribes equally. The only tribe that did not get any land was the Levites, who made up predominantly the Levitical priesthood. They did not get land. And so what happened is there was this order of taking up tithes, and the tithes had three purposes: to pay for the feasts and festivals that were commanded by God in the laws, and the codices that were given out. So 1/3 of that was for that. 1/3 of it was for the poor. And the other third was for the Levitical priesthood, specifically named. The reason why the Levitical priesthood got 1/3 of the tithes is because they own no land. So it shows you the power and ownership of land gives you the power and capacity to generate and create wealth. I look at a lot of things that I've seen over the past, and I see how people have fought for land that had been taken from their parents. back when their parents didn't have the ability or capacity or the right to fight for it, and they win it back, and then they immediately sold it back to the people who took it from their parents because of the financial cash flow it created, not realizing that the property was far more valuable than what they were being paid in money, because what, we don't understand how things work. And so my goal is in creating these courses has been to teach the um, awareness, the knowledge necessary to be able to understand wealth and how it's accumulated, and understand, the barriers that are there. And there are barriers. This isn't me ignoring some of the barriers that we face as a people. This is me saying that there are certain things out there that we have at our disposal that we aren't readily taking advantage of. And the consumer mindset is a major problem. And I've had this discussion more times than I care to realize. When we're consuming so much and making nothing, none of what we consume, we make. And so there's no revitalization of any economy we hold, because our spending enriches others, not ourselves. Now, if we were buying our own goods because we were manufacturing and distributing the goods that we were consuming, then the consumption of it would have a purpose, because it would be flowing back into a vertical sphere of economics, from manufacturing, distribution, retail, and back into consumption, that we would enrich ourselves. This is what other groups practice. And it's what we still have not learned. It's the understanding of how things work. It's that allows you to grow, but it's also the understanding of how things work that stops others from having the ability to manipulate, control, mislead, misguide, and mishandle you. It's when you don't know how things work, they tell you, hey, this is what's up, and you go after it. Like the big lie in academics was in skill set, that you don't need vocational skills. You need to get a degree. And it even changed how we viewed one another. We had back in the 50s and 40s, 50s and 60s, we had the industrial push, all this stuff with the manufacturing plants, the industrial plants, the warehouses were all in the city. And, you could be a forklift driver, heavy equipment driver, working on the line in the automotive manufacturing industry and all these other different places. And you can go in and you can make a living wage. And literally black men were supporting their families, and black women were stay-at-home wives, just like white women at the time. And then what happened is they deindustrialized. They took all those jobs out of the city, drove up the unemployment rate amongst black men. Then shortly after that, they pulled vocational skill training out of the school, which was what? Auto mechanic, wood shop, electrician, plumbing. They pulled those out of the school. And then they made those what? Vocational and skill schools. You had to go to another school to get that. But what they did is they big upped the bachelor's degree, get a degree. So that was the push. Everybody wanted a degree. And then it changed the way we viewed one another. So even when you would see a young black male who was a carpenter, a plumber, electrician, a mechanic, there wasn't any prestige with that. He made more money than the guy with the bachelor's, but he was looked down upon. So then there's a natural push. I want to be held in uh, high distinction and prestige. So there's something about saying I've got this skin on the wall that I earned in this institution that I'm now in debt to some lending institution for money that I can't afford to pay back because of the interest rates and how the loan is set up. So now I'm strapped to debt. And what is the number one enemy of wealth? Debt. So then we have to reshape our thinking, and we have to look at consumption is good in its proper state. But when you aren't manufacturing or creating any of the goods that you are consuming, that means you are enriching someone else. And when you are enriching someone else in a caste system that benefits one group over another, you are literally financing your own demise. And so this is the thing that I am so passionate about, is stopping my people from financing their own demise and starting to look at ways to grow and come together. We cannot be the biggest spender in any industry and not have ownership. We make up 96% of the $15 billion beauty supply industry. We have 3% ownership, and all of that ownership is at the retail level, which means that it's not the same people owning, it's people trying to get in and getting priced out. Why are they getting priced out? Because we don't have a vertical domination within the sphere that we dominate spending. So in a $15 billion industry like the beauty supply industry, 96% of that is black money. That means 14.4 billion of that is coming out of black hands, but it's not enriching any black people. It's enriching predominantly Asians. And so what happens is they own the manufacturing, uh, accumulation and distribution and retail. And what happens is when we go in and we try to compete with the beauty supply stores who are owned by Asians in our communities, what happens? They get the price break, we get the price hike. We can't compete on price, and our people are not going to support us solely based on our black business acumen or the fact that we're a black business. They're going to go for the lower price. They're going to sit up because they don't understand the economic situation. They are going to have a problem with the fact that uh, scissors over here cost 79 cents and scissors in your store cost $2.99, and they don't understand that you're paying more than 99 cents for your scissors. And then you got to have all of the operational costs covered in order to stay in business and be profitable. And they don't understand that, but they're going to go with that. And so the only way you control prices, you have to control manufacturing and distribution, because then those are the people who control uh, the wholesale pricing that facilitates retail getting the products and services, whatever the products they need to sell and keep their business going. So then that's the thing that we have to look at. Another area that we dominate spending in that we don't have anywhere close to the proper representation and ownership is in seafood. We consume about $9 to every $1 in um, $9 to every $1 that whites spend in seafood purchases. We love us some shrimp. We love us some fish and some crawfish and all that other stuff that comes as a part of the seafood. Crab. We love it. And we literally outspend them 9 to 1, and we're buying it from them. Now that's the big game play. That's, hey, let's get in. And the problem with why we can't do that is not only do we not understand vertical economics, but we don't understand the importance of unity. We don't come together. We don't support systems that are operated and run. We don't get behind programs. We don't engage in everything. We are more inclined, if we're going to be honest with ourselves, we're more inclined and more focused on how we appear. So it's about looking like I'm successful. That's why we buy 2 times more Mercedes per year than they do. But the wealth gap is $150,000 median household wealth gap. Their median household wealth is 177,000. Ours is 17,000. That's a huge gap. The median income for black men is only 44,000. Last I checked. The median household, the median wealth, I mean, the median income for a white male is darn near 70,000. You see, the things we're dealing with is we have to understand how that works. Well, we're never going to control our value when we don't control the systems that determine our value. And the only way that we're going to do that is start to build systems and operate within those systems so that we control our value and we manage the flow of our money, which equates to wealth as it is accumulated. There are so many things that can be learned. There's so many things that can be passed on, but what we can't do is consistently take the same behavior and perpetuate it generation after generation and somehow hope that we are going to overcome this. And without economic power, we have no force, no push, no capacity to change any of the other ill effects and enigmatic issues that plague our community. The answers are there. I've spent 30 years of my life producing those answers in written form, in video form, in lecture form, and it's there. But we are going to have to effectively and consistently come together and develop strategic plans and agendas that allow us to move. So again, I put together the Path to Generational Wealth course as a comprehensive. It's the A to Z to wealth building. Like I said, this thing I'm going through is just one small section, and it's one small section of the small section. This is just one of many steps that you can take to speed up the process. But I wanted to share that with you. I already told you about a couple of others, and I'm going to keep it coming. And Wednesday will be Wealth Building Wednesday, and we'll be back to talk about it more. But as I said in the beginning, if you want to get a head start on this, today is a good time because I'm offering my 7-day online business launch course, which will allow you to learn how to set up revenue generating streams online, multiple streams of income that allow you to hedge against the loss of any primary source of income, and how to do that over and over again and come to profitability quickly by using the principles and the steps that I teach in this. This is the same blueprint that I've used for almost 14 years. But when you do that today until tomorrow at midnight, you're going to get this Path to Generational Wealth course, which is basically a $2,700 course. You're going to get enrollment in that for free. You're going to get enrollment in the AI course for free. You're going to get enrollment in the Mind Unleashed course for free. You're going to also get into this annual course that I'm starting on the 16th of this month, going to next year, where you get to work with me and a group of 30 other people. You're going to work with me, and we're going to every month work on building something and growing strong. So again, I hope that you guys take advantage of it. This offer to get all of this stuff in one package at one low price ends tomorrow at midnight. But I want you guys to start seeing the importance of learning, seeing the importance of taking information and developing. You cannot play a game that you don't know how to play. And when you don't know how to play the game, but you are a part of it, now you're being used as a pawn. You are literally a piece being moved around to benefit other people. There's no place to win. The pawn never wins in chess. The pawn is simply there to be a mechanism of achievement and success for the people who control the board. And so we need to start creating our own boards. Again, I am this is my thing that I've worked hard to do as far as these courses as a part of the academies that I have created online. And I would love to see you take part in it. You got to be willing to invest in yourself. That's something else that we've got to stop doing. We've got to stop looking for the hookup. We've got to stop looking for free stuff. Things worth having come at a price, whether the price is money, whether the price is time, energy, and effort, and passion, and commitment. And most of the time, it includes all of the above. And if you're not willing to get into it, you just keep getting used, because that's what people do. People are investing in their dreams. And then when you want to invest in yours, they come along and they find a way to get you to invest in theirs, willingly or unwittingly. And so that's the thing that we have to look at and we have to change. And I'm going to continue and continuously push for us to do better, but it's going to require work, energy, and effort. With that being said, I'm going to get ready to get out of here. Once again, to everyone who has sent out their love, their condolences, their well wishes to me and my family for the loss of my mom, I cannot express the level of gratitude that I have for it. It means so much to have the outpouring of positive energy coming at such a challenging time. Again, thank you so much. It means, like I said, I can't tell you how much it means to me. And with that being said, we still have work to do. So let's make the right choices, the right decisions, the right level of commitments, and let's do something to change the world around us for the better so that we can pass on something worth holding to the next generation. On that note, look, as I always say, I live my life on full so that when I leave this place, I die on E. I challenge you to do the same thing. On that note, I'm out of here. You guys have an unbelievable remainder of your day.